Hey there everybody, Matt O'Ree back here with you. Once again, welcome back to Mob on TV. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while since I have revisited the Gear Tutorial series in the pursuit of demonstrating guitar tones. But I'm back, we're back, and it's season number 2, and we got 2 massive topics to demonstrate through the entire series of season number 2. The first one is the real deal, the real thing, a real 1959 Gibson Les Paul. The others are going to be some more original train wrecks made by Ken Fisher and comparing them to some of the new train wrecks made by John Mark. So let's jump right in. Welcome back. Now, for those of you who don't know a whole lot about the history of the Gibson Les Paul, there's a ton of information, of course, on the internet you can read for days and days and days. But for most collectors and most musicians, we're always talking about the halfway through 1958 through 1959 and 1960 models. This is the Sunburst Les Paul, became so famous by so many rock musicians. Well, there's a really great book out there called The Beauty of the Burst, and it's a picture documented book of all the remaining models that are still out there. I'm sure there's still more out there in someone's closet or attic, at least we hope so. But this 2.5 years is the most important part of the Gibson history. It's the best sounding guitars they've ever made and the most beautiful guitars they've ever made. A lot of the Les Pauls that I have played from that era, and I've been fortunate enough to play a handful of them. One of them was a 1958 Gibson Les Paul that was previously owned by Paul Kossoff from Free. I was opening for Paul Rodgers at a theater here in New Jersey, and the guitar tech noticed that I was a Les Paul guy, so he said, "You got to come back to the dressing room and see what I have." And of course, I walked in the dressing room and I saw a vintage Les Paul. It stood right out. It was like, oh wow, whose real burst is this? And he said that this previously was owned by Paul Kossoff. And the owner brought it for Paul Rodgers, guitar player, to play for the show. Now, of course, another surprise that his guitar player was Howard Leese from Heart. So he really is Barracuda in the early days of Heart. So I got a chance to play this guitar. It was amazingly resonant. I didn't get a chance to plug it in, but feeling the neck was really interesting. It felt more like a 50s Fender with a soft V neck. And the neck had never been messed with. It's just the way that it came from Gibson. The guitar was also very light, which was another thing that I've noticed with a lighter instrument. Usually the wood is more resonant. As Gibson went along through the 70s, and so did Fender, they had massive problems with heavier guitars. And I say they're a problem because they were so dense that they didn't resonate very well, and the tone isn't that great. Doesn't mean you can't find a good sounding guitar from that era, but it definitely sounds way better, and of course the price reflects on how way better a guitar from the 50s and early 60s is. The next vintage Les Paul that I had a chance to play was a 1959 at the Philadelphia Guitar Show. This one had the back of the neck sanded down, I'm assuming a lot like Jimmy Page's guitar. I didn't really care for the neck profile because I don't really like the thinner necks, but I gotta say the guitar was very, very light, and it was also extremely resonant. Even just playing an E chord with the guitar unplugged, you could hear how resonant the guitar was. And that leads us up to the start of this video series. I know I've been talking a bunch, but there's a lot to cover and I haven't been on in a while. So this is a 1959 Gibson Les Paul. It weighs about 8 pounds, and the nickname of this guitar has become the Danger Burst. Now, Gibson actually did a recreation of this guitar, and I did play one of those, and it's a fantastic recreation. But I am so pleased and so honored that a friend of mine let me borrow this guitar for the video, and my God, does this thing sound amazing. It actually sounds to me, to my ears, in the cleaner tones, more like a Telecaster than anything else, which really kind of hit home when I had gotten home from shooting this video series. And I started listening to some of the Led Zeppelin live video clips again. And you can clearly hear that Jimmy Page's sounds a lot like a Telecaster too. So what became of the Les Paul sound of this hard rock heavy metal machine, I hate to use heavy metal, but I guess you can throw it in there, of this big sounding guitar, Ironically, the 1959, a real one, doesn't quite sound like that. And even Joe Bonamassa in a lot of his great videos explains that. It's really more like a Telecaster, maybe on the second day of taking steroids. So, enough of my yakking. Let's jump into it. You tell me what you think. Let's check out the first pass of this incredible, incredible guitar. What an honor it was to play. It played beautifully on top of that, and the taper on the pots was to die for. Let's check it out. Here we go. So what'd you think? Like I said, in the blend mode of having both pickups on at the same time, you can really blend with the volume pots to get more of that real out of phase, almost Telecaster-like tones. Really incredible. And the neck pickup clarity is absolutely another thing to die for. There's no muddiness at all. The guitar has so much air around the notes when you play it. It's just absolutely euphoric. Again, the clarity, man, you really just can't say enough about it. The balance of from lows to highs is so perfect that I can't imagine playing this with a band. It would sound so great. Hopefully someday I'll get a chance to. So also with the volume pots, the pots themselves, the taper is incredible. With a Trainwreck amplifier, and those of you who know a lot about the Trainwrecks, everything is pretty much predicated off of using your volume knobs to go from clean tones to overdriven tones. And the taper is so good on these pots that I can go from 1 to 4 with all the beautiful, sparkly, jangly, chimey, clean tones that the Trainwreck is famous for. And then from 4 to about 7 is all the dirty rhythm I like to call. And then from 7 to 10 is all the super saturated, dripping overdrive tones that a Trainwreck is also famous for. Really, really incredible and very responsive. But let's hear another clip because I want to hear more, and I'm sure you do too. So here we go. Well, folks, there we have it. The first episode of season number 2 featuring the 1959 Gibson Les Paul, aka Danger Burst, through my Trainwreck Express named Marina into my Ampeg V4 cabinet with pre-roller greenback 30-watt 014 cones. It doesn't get much better than that, but I think it's gonna. Episode number 2, stay tuned next week. It's gonna be a comparison of aka the Danger Burst, and my 3 historic Les Pauls. Now we can see how close Gibson really has gotten to it. There's still a big difference, but I think out of all the companies trying to recreate what they once did in years past, Gibson definitely is head and shoulders above everybody else. But again, I'll let you guys be the judge. Please, please, please don't forget to click subscribe, be a part of the Mob on TV channel here and the part of the family. Send me some email. Let me know your thoughts on the video, your thoughts on the beautiful tones of this 1959. You can reach me at info@mattoree.com. My website is mattoreeband.com. Send me some email. Keep in touch. We're going to see you next time for season number 2, a comparison of the historic Les Paul versus the 1959 Gibson Les Paul. We'll see you then.